Imagine this. You're sitting at a roulette table. The lights are dim. The air is thick. Your heart is beating harder than you expect. The last 8 spins have all come up black. 8 in a row. The dealer looks at you. Someone across the table whispers. The guy next to you mutters, "Mate, red is due. There's no way it's black again." Now the wheel slows. The ball dances. Everyone leans forward, eyes locked on that tiny bouncing sphere. And at that moment you feel something inside you whisper, surely it has to be red now. But here's the reality. The odds haven't changed. It's still roughly 50-50, minus the green zero that quietly steals your confidence. And yet, something inside you feels like red is destined, like it's more likely somehow. This episode is about that feeling, that belief, and that instinct we all have. Because you don't need to gamble to fall for the gambler's fallacy. You fall for it in relationships, in business, in self-worth, in motivation, in life. And by the end of this episode, you'll realise something frighteningly liberating. You've been betting huge parts of your life on emotions disguised as logic, and you don't even know it. Think back to that roulette wheel. Why does it feel like red is due? Because your brain hates randomness, it hates chaos, it hates not knowing. The human mind is a pattern recognition machine, evolved on savannas where spotting patterns kept you alive. Clouds meant rain, footprints meant danger, a rustle in the grass meant predator. We look for meaning even in noise. So when you see 8 blacks, your brain goes, a pattern that needs to balance. But randomness doesn't care. Numbers don't balance themselves to comfort your emotions. The universe doesn't compensate for your expectations. But here's the twist. Even when you know this logically, your brain still whispers, "Go on, red's coming." This is why the gambler's fallacy is so dangerous. It feels true, it feels logical, it feels earned. And that feeling is exactly why it ruins not just gamblers, but lives. Let's take this out of the casino and into your life. You've probably thought this before. I've had so much bad luck, something good has to happen soon. I've been alone for years, I'm due a good partner. I've worked hard for ages, success should come now. I've put so much effort into them, they owe me change. I've suffered enough, surely life will balance out. That's the gambler's fallacy, the belief that life keeps a scoreboard, that effort accumulates points, that the universe has a memory. It doesn't. Life does not balance itself simply because you tried. But people live like it does. Imagine a slot machine. You put in a coin, pull a lever, nothing. You try again, nothing. 5 more times, still nothing. Most people would think it hasn't paid out yet, the payout must be coming. But what if the machine was literally broken? What if it was never going to pay out? This is what people do with a partner who will never change, a job with no upward mobility, a diet they never stick to, friends who drain them, a dream they never act on, a habit that feels impossible to break. They keep pulling the lever because they think, I've invested too much to walk away, I'm due. But sometimes the machine is broken and you're not unlucky, you're just refusing to leave the table. Let's talk about relationships because this is where the gambler's fallacy destroys people. You might have stayed with someone because you've been with them for years. You've been through pain, you've given so much. You don't want the time to be wasted. So you think, I've suffered enough, they'll change soon. I've invested too much, it has to work out. This much pain must mean there's eventually a reward. But relationships, like spins of a wheel, don't care about your past. Your partner isn't likely to treat you better because they've treated you badly in the past. In fact, repeated behaviour usually predicts more repeated behaviour. Just like a roulette wheel, the next spin doesn't care what the last 8 were. This is harsh, but it's freeing, because once you stop expecting emotional refunds from people, you start making decisions based on reality, not emotional debt. What about in career and business? Think of that person who stays in a dead-end job because I've been here for 7 years. Surely my promotion is coming. They'll eventually notice my effort. Or the entrepreneur who keeps pouring money into a business model that never worked and never will. Or the guy who spent 5 years learning a skill he doesn't enjoy but refuses to pivot because I've come this far. That's the gambler's fallacy. Your boss doesn't promote based on time served. The market doesn't reward you based on your tiredness. Clients don't suddenly appear because you're in a position of struggle. Time spent is not a predictor of future reward. The next spin is the next spin. Now imagine flipping a coin 100 times. Let's say the first 30 flips are heads. Most people think, well, it's been 30 heads, tails must be coming. But in an infinite system, streaks of 20, 30 and 40 identical outcomes aren't rare, they're expected. Life is the same. You can have long streaks of bad luck, bad relationships, financial hardship, rejections, plateaus and loneliness. But the streak does not predict the next outcome. You're not due. The only time you break a streak is when you make a different move, not when you endure long enough. You gamble emotionally all the time without realising it. I've been kind, so they owe me kindness. I've stayed loyal, so they should treat me better and not betray me. I've done the right thing, so life will reward me. I've waited, so something must change soon. But life doesn't operate on emotional credit systems. The universe isn't a dealer keeping track of fairness. If you rely on emotional gambling, you end up resentful, exhausted, heartbroken, bitter, lost, because you expect payouts from people who never agreed to pay you, or from circumstances that don't obey cosmic fairness. So there is a scientific reason your brain falls for this. Your brain runs on prediction reward pattern. When it sees black, 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 it expects symmetry. It expects balance. It feels uncomfortable with asymmetry. This discomfort triggers anxiety and urgency, emotional reasoning, confirmation bias, memory distortion. Your brain starts telling stories. This streak is too long. It can't keep happening. Something is about to change. The discomfort tricks you into believing a narrative. But randomness doesn't care about your discomfort. Imagine a region where it hadn't rained for months. People start saying rain is overdue, the skies owe us rain, this drought has gone on too long. But the clouds don't have a memory. The sky doesn't track fairness. Nature doesn't compensate for difficulty. And your life is the same. Just because you've been dry for a year doesn't mean the rain is coming. But here's the empowering part. You can build your own reservoir. You can create your own weather system. You can stop waiting for rain and build irrigation instead. Because the smart man doesn't wait for the sky. He learns to control the water. So how can we break the fallacy? Well, we need to stop gambling with our life. Stop expecting life to balance your suffering. Life isn't symmetrical. Pain isn't currency. We should treat each decision as independent. Just like the roulette wheel, the next action is the only one that matters. If a strategy isn't working, stop pulling the lever, change direction, pivot, renew. Don't stay somewhere just because you've been there long. That's emotional debt, not logic. And replace I'm due with I choose. That's the shift from gambling to strategy. You've spent years expecting life to reward you because you endured. But endurance only matters if it's pointed in the right direction. You are not owed a win, but you can always create one. And as you leave this episode, remember the roulette wheel. 8 blacks in a row? what would you bet on? Not because of the streak, but because you understand the rules. Life changes not when you wait for balance, but when you become the one creating the result.